Good morning, Berlin. Guten Morgen, Berlin. How's everybody today? Let's see, my notes are on there. I've got $1 million worth of technology on me, around me. Let's hope it all works. Berlin, 3.5 million pairs of sandals, 2.5 million socks under those sandals. That's what I think of when I think of Berlin. Anyway, thank you for having me here. In the next few minutes, and it is just a few minutes, I'm going to speak to you about press fams. As the gentleman noted, I do a lot of work in the film industry as well. There's really not a lot of money in doing press fams, so most of us have to have second jobs, or we're married to rich spouses. And by the way, I'm wearing Google glasses right now. I know some of you see me walking around the show with them. I'll just get this out of the way so you know why I'm wearing them. I'm not wearing them because I'm trying to be cool. Actually, my notes for the presentation are on here. Google gives these out to media people to try and see if they'll wear them and get them some publicity and see if they'll work. So I'm not quite sure if this is going to work socially or not. You're up and you're meeting somebody and you're talking to them and you're wearing these things, and of course they're worried about you filming them and looking under their clothes or whatever. So I'm not sure that this is the wave of the future, but you know, we're here at ITB. There's a lot of technology here, and we'll see how this works. And by the way, this is very short. They only give me till about noon, so I'm going to go into more detail of how we actually plan a press fam later on in the workshop 4.1B130, okay? Press fams, the good, the bad, and the funny. So I've done my first press fam over 30 years ago. For Morocco was the first country. We've had a couple of things that have changed in the last 30 years. We have this little thing called the internet that kind of screwed everything up for the way we used to do press fams. But that's actually a good thing, because as it turns out, the internet allows all countries to participate in promoting their country. I'm not here to tell you about how to do social media for press fams and how to do it for your countries, because that's all over the place in ITB. You just can't get away from it. And there's a good reason for that. But the title of my presentation is called The Good, the Bad, and the Funny. So I'm going to start off with a few things. There's too much sand on this beach. That was on a press fam I went a few years ago with a guy from Taiwan who was complaining the beaches were too sandy. Can you tell me the regions in Tasmania where the female population is smaller than the male population? I looked over at the guy and I said, yeah, the gay nightclubs. I mean, you know, some of the questions, I'm wondering, what are these people doing on a press fam? How about this one? This lady was from Britain. This island is completely surrounded by water. Why? She's from Britain. I mean, and of course, my all-time favorite is a guy from Texas who said, if we're walking down the streets, we're in Melbourne, Australia, if we're walking down the streets, will we see any kangaroos? I looked at him, I said, well, depends how much you've had to drink there, pal. I mean, you know, if people like this are in your press fam, you've got some vetting to do before the press fam gets started. The bad, well, I had actually written a lot of stuff about what constitutes a bad press fam, but really, I'm going to skip through them all. There's not a lot of time, because really a bad press fam is one without ROI, or return on investment. If you're not getting the coverage you expected to get, that would be, or maybe none at all, that would be a bad press fam, right? And that's what we want to try and avoid. So we have some tricks we can use to do that. How to do a really good press fam. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through 10 tips, 10 really vital tips that you can take a note of, or actually, as you see here, you can just download it. Just put in that secret word there, and it'll download the presentation, so you don't have to write notes, because this is 2014, so we can do everything electronically. But really, the key to a good press fam is planning up front, starting to press fam before the first journalist even hits the ground. And I say this to everybody, I'm telling you all this right now. Any good travel journalist will have at least a half, if not 3/4 of their story done before they even get into your country or location. Okay? In the old days, that wasn't as true because we didn't have good communication tools. We didn't have an ability to do good, solid research. You had to go literally to a library to find things out. But today, everything can be found online. And there's no excuse. I don't think I should ever have to go on a press round with somebody that says, oh, what's the capital of this country? Excuse me? I mean, if we are at that stage, that person doesn't belong on a press round trip. Agreed? Yeah? Good. I want to know what kinds of stories each one of the press fam team members are going to do. Well, obviously, are they going to be on TV? Are they going to be on cable? Are they going to be in the local newspaper? Are they going to be in a major newspaper? That sort of goes without saying, but these are good questions to make sure we have answers to. I like video. I think video tells, we have the tools today for not much money to be able to tell a good, compelling video story in a short period of time with not a lot of money involved. It also lets us get into other markets. If I write a story for a publication, it takes time. There's not a lot of outlets for written stories. Sure, we all want to be in the cover of the New York Times, but that only happens once a week around the world, or London Times as the case may be, so those are few and far between. And by the way, those stories only appear once. You get a big bang one time, you've hit the big time with your cover in the New York Times, but where are you next week? Next week, you're yesterday's news. If you're on something like YouTube, you can be on there for a long time, particularly if it's a good video. At 1:30, I'll tell you how to make sure you can get on there and make sure you're seen forever. This is one that, if anybody's either organized or been on a press fam, they're a lot of work. I mean, we're not there really, believe it or not, to have just a fun vacation. We're actually there to produce some good, solid, quality content. And that takes work. Typical press fam, we get up at 7 in the morning, right, Dieter? Go take a look at the, Dieter's with Guatemala. Go look at the Mayan ruins, go exploring, hike up and down a few. We're pretty tired by noon. Come down off of those ruins and do the same thing all over again the next day after a few drinks of whatever they're serving that day in Guatemala in his tent. And we do that for about a week or so. I want to see that change. I want to be able to see that press fam happen something like this. We do that for 2, maybe 3 days, and on the 3rd or 4th day, a day of work on the stories themselves. Let's get your press fam team members working, creating the content there. Why? Because a press fam is a lot like a marriage. Once the press fam is over, the honeymoon is over. And as many of you know, you sit there and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you never get that story. So the way to do that and help make sure that happens is make sure you get that story started well underway. And remember what I said in the beginning, most of that story should actually already be done before they even hit the ground in your country. And you should be seeing that. You should have a copy of that to see. All right? We're trying to put the ball in the court of the person that's controlling that wants the story, okay? Put that control in your hands. Make some demands. We used to have this tendency in journalism to say, okay, well, oh my God, they're journalists. We can't touch them. We can't tell them what to do. Certainly, you're not going to tell them how to do their story, but you can certainly expect them to do the work that they were agreed to do for the press fam in the first place, okay? All right? And this one thing, and then we'll get into the slides, and that gives me exactly enough time to go through the 10 tips. One thing we should say is it's very awkward, the whole money thing, because as I said earlier, there's not a lot of money in doing press fams for the people that are participating in them. Usually it's kind of a hobby, or they have rich spouses, or they certainly have other jobs. And by the way, that's part of the problem, because if they're doing this on the side as a sideline, they've got some other job when they go home. They've got to go back to being a mechanic, and your story sort of ends up down on the bottom of life's priorities, right? So our goal is to make sure that they get as much of that story done before they depart, or as I say, the honeymoon is over, okay? Now we'll get into a few slides here, and then we should be well on our way here. Let's hope this all works. Oh, look at that, just like that, boom. So old-style press fans are all but useless. Traditional media that doesn't include social media is not a press fan anymore. What I mean by that is if you get somebody from a major publication or a television station, if they're not connected socially in some forms of social media, you know, if they're, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Google or all three of the above, Instagram, you're really not getting a story, because I have gone on press fans where people have, you know, it's usually quite older people that have been with a magazine or a publication for a long time, and they say, oh, no, I don't do that Twitter stuff. I'm not into Facebook, you know, because they're like 60 years old and they don't have an account and they don't do it. You know, that's not the way we do a press fan today. It has to be including some social media. Why? Because these people quite often are celebrities. They get large followers. A lot of people read what they say. There's a potential huge audience you're not addressing. Skip the old geezer that doesn't have a social media account and just go for somebody that does. Okay? If you still can't be, if you're still not sure, then bring in somebody that does. There's lots of consultants in social media, lots of people that can help you out. I've just picked up some statistics right here at ITB. By 2016, social media will be the primary way to promote bookings. That's said by some people down the hall here. All press fans must be oriented to social media. 64% of people travel to places they see their friends post on Facebook, okay? So we want those press fan team members to be really socially engaged. We want them to be promoting the stories, and we're going to come to how we do that on the actual trip in a minute here. Let's see if we get down there. Oop, I gave you a little state. So here we go. My 10 easy planning tips to guarantee a successful press fan. If you, I put a little flame beside the ones I thought there were really super tips that I just couldn't live without. So let's still take a look at number one. This is what I said earlier. Negotiate all commitments prior to departure. Once the journalist leaves, you've lost control. Ask them what they plan to produce, and tell them that you expect to see completed stories before they leave. Can I just get just make sure that everybody understands that? Just go like that for me, so I can make sure. Great. Okay. There's a lot of room for video in press fans now. I favor them. I've told you a few minutes ago why. This is my order of the video sites that I like, and there's good reasons for these. All Voices, that's a news station. You can put your videos, your press fan members can subscribe to that and put on there. TripAdvisor Video. What do we know about TripAdvisor? If you're looking at TripAdvisor, you're going somewhere. It's the #2 searched travel website on the internet. I checked it out myself on Alexa.com. You can do the same thing. So they're great. YouTube. YouTube, you know, it's a funny thing the way YouTube works. If you do a YouTube video, everybody wants to have the most searched YouTube and the best. You know, they're part of Google, of course. But YouTube takes a while to catch on. The nice thing about it, the thing I like about YouTube is it's there forever. You know, if you go to Facebook or Twitter, these are of the moment, as you know. And a few minutes later, your story's dead, and it doesn't really go, it doesn't have much traction beyond a few retweets or a few reposts and things. But YouTube, I have videos that are 5 years old, and they still get 10,000 views a month, and they're 5 years old. So they just keep, and as a matter of fact, they get more in the future because they start being backlinked and linked to other sites on the web. This one. Youku, 1 billion Chinese people do not get YouTube. So when the video is shot, you shoot the video without, when I do our videos, we shoot them with me as the host and some, and then we delete me as the host and others so that we can put, we call that a donut, so we can take the narration out and substitute it with Chinese, with Mandarin or Cantonese, and then it works in China on Youku, okay? So that's, and believe me, people in China love social media. Vimeo. Now you look at that and you go, boy, there's not many views on Vimeo, but how many people here have a smart TV at home? If you do, you have YouTube and you have Vimeo. Vimeo is a very clean interface. It's just like watching, you know, a normal RTV or NTV or CBS in the United States. It's exactly the same. It's a channel, so it's based more on a normal video model. So you could find your Vimeo video being watched by people on a regular TV. And by the way, it works in all of Asia as well. Hey, why not load to at least 50 different video sites? There's at least 50 of them. Okay. We want to find out a little bit about who the people are that you're going to invite on a press fam. Those of you that are social media savvy, you already know about Clout. If you don't, you should, because that's the way you're going to be able to tell to a large degree. You need some other tools as well. Peer index is another one. This is how you can tell how socially connected somebody is. Is their message getting out? Okay? All you got to do is go to Clout, put their Twitter handle in there or their Facebook page, whatever they go by, and you'll get a score. The higher the score, the President of the United States has 95. Justin Bieber has 99. Lady Gaga, I think, has 88, something like that. So celebrities tend to have up in the high 80s. But vet, and this is really saying know who the people are that are going on a press fam before they leave. This is important. Most travel sites, travel destinations have a peak season and a non-peak season. We want to put the different types of media into the appropriate slot. So simply put, if you're going to do press, paper, journalism, bloggers, things like that, without video, throw them in off-season. They don't need to go on peak season. Okay? Video, you pretty well have to put them in peak season because you don't want to show a rainy beach. Okay, so they got to be on the beach. I was in Uruguay a few years ago, and it wasn't any fault of Uruguay, by the way. It's just that I was there, and they asked me if I would do a press fam, and I said, okay, but it was in the rainy season, so we went to the beach, and it was just mud. So we had to work really hard. We ended up doing no video because there just really was no way to do a proper video with mud on the beach. So we're at number 4. You can get somebody to help you organize press fam, so that could be a PR firm, an MR firm, or an ad agency. That's one way to help you set yourself up so that you can do that and make sure that you get a good press fam, okay? On the press fam itself, I want this to be like a special project for the group. You've got 5, 6 members. Why not create a Facebook group for that particular press fam? Instill a little bit of, forgot the slide. A Facebook group. Why not consider setting up a group? Have a little contest. You can have who's ever getting the most Facebook replies or tweets or anything that's related to social media centered through this Facebook page. You can monitor and see even before they depart. This Facebook group should be starting to be active before they go, because remember what I said in the beginning, most of their stories, most of what they do should be done before they even get to your country. Okay? And this is a great way to tie the group together and keep the camaraderie going and make sure that everybody's contributing and that they're starting to get views, which is what this is all about, or ROI. All right? Video and print, they don't mix. If you've got a bunch of paper and news journalists and you've got some video journalists, the two don't mix. So keep them separate. If you want video and a primary focus on video, bring those along. They can work very well together. They'll hold each other's lights. They'll, you know, if a piece of equipment isn't working, they'll be able to switch back and forth and they'll cooperate. You can't do that if you got print and video mixed together, okay? Oh, this is one of my favorites. We talked about this earlier. Give your press fam members time to work. We want them to make sure that they work hard on the press fam during the entire trip. We spoke about that earlier. And one of my favorites here, a music stop. Every press fam should stop for music at some point. There should be a place where you can visit local musicians. Why? Because we can not, of course, music is a part of every culture around the world, but that can be the backdrop to their story. It can help your local musicians get some press and attention around the world. And news editors, especially in newsrooms with video, love to have music in the background. Obviously, you have to have copyright availability. So make a stop with a local, maybe a famous street musician. And number 10. This is the most important one. When they arrive into your country, your Press Fam members, make sure every one of your Press Fam team members has a SIM card ready to go in their unlocked phones so that they can be posting stories 24/7. Here's a good answer from somebody that's done that. Said, what, you only used 20 SIM cards on this trip? I hoped you were going to use 30. The more SIM cards they go through, the better, and that ends my presentation. I hope it was very good for you. I'm going to leave this up here so you can take a look at those, write some more notes down. Thank you very much.